I guess. So you might not know by now, after you had this El Paso shooter, um, I think they charged him with domestic terrorism, finally. Um, and may I say this, I find it intriguing that he's still not a white guy. We've been having this conversation within the left that white men aren't called terrorists. I don't care what they do. They're just called mental ill. You pick it. They use a whole bunch of euphemisms to deal with somebody who has chosen to go armed to the terror of ordinary people. And I've said it. I went into it before because look, you have to understand something. White people believe this is their country by default. So the way they look at it is, we're allowing black people. It's like I make the point often. If I go out here right now, bust my windows out, slash my tires, scratch my car up, set it on fire, that's my business. Now, obviously, if I do it on a public roadway or out here, somebody may call the cops. They may be wondering what I'm doing. And if I set a fire, that's still arson. Obviously, but for the most part, that's my property. The only reason why anybody would get on me for doing that is because other people live here. They wouldn't know what I was doing. What the fuck you doing? But that's still my property. Does that make sense? I'm not sharing that car. That's my property. That's how white people feel about mass shootings. They think this is their country. Being that America is their country, and they just allow blacks, Asians, Hispanics, Africans, they allow us to exist in this country. Well, what's the big deal? I mean, yeah, it's wrong to kill blacks, it's wrong to kill Mexicans, but what's the big deal? That's really what they're saying, and that's really how they look at it. So this guy, even though he got charged with domestic terrorism, that's great. I'm glad to see that. He's still not a white man. See, it's like my friend Denzel was saying yesterday. I was talking about that cop in Dallas that shot the Amber Guyger shooting. Dallas police woman. You saying to me that we can't just look at it as, well, she lost her job, be a police officer no more, because then they're using that against, and he's right. I agree. I dropped the ball. I guess it's just that we see so many cases where cops kill people and keep their jobs. And keep their jobs. And keep their pension and all that. And for me, growing up working on white people, I know white folks believe in the law. So, no, I don't mean doing it. I don't mean like I don't want to go to jail, so I don't want to get shot. I'm talking about like white people believe in the law. So when white people go to prison, go to jail, face stuff, it hurts them worse. It does. Whereas for black, I just don't want to do no time. I'm like this here. Do as little time as possible. If I get locked up, just give me a little time as possible. I don't care what you call me in the day. I don't. I'm like Clarence Thomas. But by the grace of God go I. It isn't that I'm special or unique. My mother raised me right. She raised me in a good spot. And so I didn't grow up a fucking criminal. But I don't see myself better than black people who wind up making mistakes. Hell no. If anything, I just know the rules. I'm a black man who knows the rules. And people say, oh, everybody knows the rules. Not necessarily. Getting off subject. So, in the aftermath of this shooting in El Paso, Mexico is charging that guy with crimes. And I'm not sure where that'll go, but I believe that's the right thing to do. Let's get into this. He made the point that he was going after Hispanics. Can you see me all right? He made the point that he was going after Hispanics. That was his point. This was a hate crime, but it was also a domestic terrorist act. And really, can I say, it's kind of an embarrassment because we're at the point now to where Trump is pardoning war criminals. He's getting, in these trials and interfering with war criminals. We're getting to the point to where we're going to have foreign countries take action to establish justice. I mean, that's how I see it. We're really we can no longer trust the American justice system, and a black man will say you never could. True, but generally, when you had people engaging in actions of violence, there is some justice meted out. I can say, like Mississippi burning and all that, you still had justice to a certain extent when you have violence. I'm not just talking about race. I'm not talking about a man what he said. I'm talking about he said he was a racist. He felt so way about Hispanics. He felt so way about, the way the world's changing. So he's going to go against Hispanics. So it's an act of terror. The Charleston shooter. This is an act of terror. This is an act of terror. And this was terrorism. We have to acknowledge that. This is not just criminality. Because when I first heard it, I was like, man, that's kind of crazy. When I first heard it, I was like, man, this is kind of crazy. What is Mexico doing? But then I thought about it, and I'm like, nothing crazy about that. Nothing crazy at all. And you know what? It's only crazy because we're still looking at the world from the point of view of like logic. And you've got to get to the point when you look at Donald Trump and you look at everybody around him and his administration, and you've got to say to yourself, this is insanity. You've got to get to that. But when you look at Donald Trump, you've got to get to that point to where you say, this doesn't make sense. I think you know what I mean? It's kind of like when you look at a situation, you're like, this is just as bad or whatever. You've got to get to that point to where you just acknowledge that this is not a system of justice. It's not supposed to be. He doesn't intend to be a system of justice. He doesn't care about justice. You've got to have that point of view in looking at Trump and looking at the comments that he makes, the comments that people around him make, the comments that Pitts makes. I think you've got to look at it from those points of view if you are to truly understand where your response needs to be. It's weird as a conservative or libertarian, whatever I was, listening to Alex Jones. I always listen to Alex Jones. I never really knew how to feel. You know what I mean? It's almost like Alex Jones. It's like I was in the military, and Alex Jones was like my military briefing. Because I really didn't know how to feel. And as a socialist, I know how to feel. Because I know that I'm dealing with a system that is really based in insanity. It's an insane system. The older I get, the more I realize it's a system of forever war. And it's supposed to be based upon that. We're the bad guys, man. We are the bad guys, not some guy in a cave somewhere in Afghanistan. We are the bad guys, and I don't see that changing with or without Trump. Trump is a sign of something that's existed in this country probably since forever, but it's not going to get better. It's not supposed to get better. It's going to die out. I hope, God, we hope so. It's a system of class. System of a lot of things, but it's nothing new. I think that the Mexicans doing this is an embarrassment, but for any people of color, it's necessary. Now, it's like that thing with the Europeans with them funding Iran even after Trump warned them. I think this is a sign of people not being in lockstep with Trump. I think these are things that that have to be done. Basically, it's showing a lack of trust in America. It's showing a lack of trust in the American justice system. It's showing that people just really don't trust the American justice system, and you can't really blame them. You can't really blame them. I think that's really what this shows. People are really losing faith with Donald Trump. They're losing confidence in the American system. He's done that. I mean, I was reading something last night where this guy was in the FBI and he actually said that the Justice Department The reason why they're not really, coming down hard on white supremacist groups, because that's his base, and that they're in a kind of a quandary. The Justice Department is in going after white supremacist groups because that's his base. That's Trump's base. And I thought about that, and I said, you know what, man? If I met that guy, I said, you know what? That's cool. So if I set up a meeting between you and some of the kids that got killed and their families, kids got hurt and families, the kids got killed, Parkland, Santa Fe, would you go tell them that? If I got you an auditorium, don't worry about it. I just need you to show up. I don't even got to worry. I just need you to show up, and I want you to tell them and tell their families that the reason, I want you to tell their families and tell their mothers to their face that the reason why we're not going after terrorists that have white skin, the way Bush went after people after 9/11, the reason why we're not doing that is because they may happen to be potential voters for Donald J. Trump in the next election. I want you to tell them that. I want you to tell them that to their face. That's why your child is dead. And these people out here, they're standing out there at the bus stop with their kids, I want you to tell them that too. That's the reason why your children are in danger. That's the reason why when you go to a store, you're looking over your shoulder. Because you don't know what may happen. You don't know when somebody may pull a gun out and start shooting. I want you to tell them that. Since you believe that. Because to me, what you're telling me is your badge is broken. That's what it means. To me, the Justice Department is basically saying your badge is broken. That's right. I was taught, shit, if you were in law enforcement, back in the day, and there was a law you didn't agree with, let's go get arrested. Let's change the law. So that's what folks did back in the day. If you really, there was no, listen, when people say, I believe in the law and all that, okay. But that doesn't mean I'm going to just do what the law says to cover my ass. You got to constantly be challenging the law, challenging the legal system, if you believe in it. Now, if you're just a sheep or you just someone like a person of color trying to live, then of course you wouldn't do that because it's not just. But if you believe it's just, you've got to challenge it when it's wrong. You see? Doesn't happen now. But back in the day, folks done that shit. DAs and shit, they wouldn't got arrested. Let's go get arrested and change the law. Because we have the privilege to take, going under judgment, not being able to work in there. Average people out here can't do that. There's a lot of folks can't challenge the law. Can't go, without getting paid for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. There's a lot of folks out here like that. They can't go and not get paid for that amount of time. Just not they believe in the law. They don't have the means to stand on their own. They just don't. That's real talk. So, but anyway, for me, it's something unexpected. I was speaking earlier about how you had this thing with the Europeans, where the Europeans are now paying Iran through things outside of the dollar. And I spoke about how, for me, I think that's a positive outcome. But we don't know if it's going to work. The SWIFT system, I think, we don't know if it's going to work or whatever. We don't know if it's actually going to be a success or not. Okay. It's the same thing with this. Because if the next mass shooter hurts Canadians, can Canada go in and charge them? It's, hey, if the next guy goes in and kills a bunch of Arabs, can an Arab country? See what I'm saying? We have to acknowledge, I think they're acknowledging that America's a lawless country. It's been a lawless country for a long time. And you're not going to get justice through this system. I think that people in law enforcement probably feel like, well, this is wrong. They can't do that. But really, you know what it means? It's saying that we can no longer trust America for justice. I remember after some of these shootings of black men, you have foreign countries actually put out travel advisories for America. And I know for a lot of these crackers, they don't care about that. But that really surprised me. they're basically for them basically saying, hey man, don't do nothing around these cops, man. These are foreign countries. Not me, not somebody on YouTube. These are foreign countries, governments actually saying that they believe America is dangerous. And they're saying that, you know, young black men of color should be careful because of you know what's going on, of this racial, this clearly racist law enforcement system. I thought that was amazing to see that. I mean, we knew it, but it's amazing to see, you know, other countries acknowledge this stuff, you know, and putting out travel advisories. That's amazing. So, but like I said, what's the future? And I'm not happy to talk about future mass shootings. It bothers me. It's like, you know, why can't we get it together and this stuff stop? But I know it won't, because Trump's not going to stop legitimizing it. Trump's not going to stop saying things that legitimize racial violence. So if Trump's not going to stop saying things that legitimize it, then of course he's going to continue. He's showing you he's not going to step up. He's showing you he's not going to step out. He's showing you that he's not going to do anything to deal with these guys. So, you know, what do you want me to say? What do you want? You know, if a man keeps drinking and driving, he's getting 2 and 3 and 4 DUIs. What do you want? You know, you got to spend like $1,000 each time. He was licensed for a year. But like I said, for me, this may be the only way to get justice for the people that died. See, I think that's the real danger. It's the real danger with Trump. It's not just his racism. It's that Trump really makes a mockery of the American justice system. I think, and I think for anybody, like I said, like I was speaking before about people that believe in the justice system, people that believe in law and all that, I think that's what people, like, you know, I've heard people say, like, it's not their job to go out there and you know, people inside the government, it isn't their job to go out here and do and say things that will, you know, challenge U.S. government or challenge where the U.S. government stands. I think that's bullshit. Oh, this guy's talking about DEA. He says it's not the job of DEA to do that, and that's bullshit. I think that's why you're there. That's why your job isn't to go lock people up. Your job is to ensure that what you're doing is ethical, is moral, is legally right. Your job isn't just to pull out the handcuffs all day. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you serving then? But once again, this is white people. This is people who, I think with white people, you know, of course, they're looking at America with a optimism that black people and people of color never really had. And that's something I've had to really kind of orient myself with, that white people, they have, it's kind of like when a person gets raped and they teach cops like how to talk to them, don't touch them, especially a woman, you know, how to approach them. That's kind of what I had to do with myself, with white people, is just realize that you got white people that are good and don't like what Trump's doing. And you're like, why don't they get it? Because they still have an optimism about America, that they can fix capitalism, that they can just do this. It's like flipping a switch. It's just flipping a switch is gonna. No, man, no. It's not. And as a black man, you learn that kind of early on about this is what America always was, compared to white people who are slowly, some of them, be careful, are slowly starting to understand. It's just the America that always existed, man. Nothing new there. Nothing new or unexpected there. They're just showing you how they feel about you. 100%. They just showing you that you never counted. And you were never important. And you never mattered. And your ancestors didn't either. That's all it is, man. They just showing you what we all already knew. If we were paying attention, what our grandparents and our ancestors told us in so many words. I wasn't paying attention. I dated white women. I was distracted growing up. I could tell I was totally just click. Yep, tune out, tune off. Watching Seventh Heaven, and yep, I was tuned out, y'all. I can tell you that. It's kind of funny looking back at it because now you can't even do that. They've made it so blatantly clear how much they hate black people that's why I was looking at something today. This guy was talking about how people, they rather live around white people. And I thought to myself how crazy that was because there's no white people here where I live at. Like, even in the office, there's like one white lady, I think she runs the place, or just the top man, Abigail something. Everybody in there is Asian, and black, and Hispanic, and the dude that brought me in was Hispanic. I just think about how inane, how asinine it is. People want to live around white people. You fucking crazy, man. Not that I want to live it the rest of my life because I don't want to stay here in the South, but I love university. I've never want to live anywhere. I don't want to live in South Charlotte with a bunch of stuffy ass crackers. I don't. I didn't when I was younger. I don't. I've never felt like that's the place to be. Maybe when I get old, I won't be wanting to run up 3 flights of stairs. I agree with that. Like I fucking leg workout every time come home from work. But good thing about smoking weed, I'm up here on the 3rd floor, so that's about the only good thing about it. That, and I worry about no kind of water damage or nothing, and none of my stuff. I can say that too. I wish I had them hardwood floors, though. That's the only. I wish I didn't have carpet. Yeah. I wish I didn't have carpet. But anyway, it's one of them things. I just felt like, which was the Mexico thing, that if the American justice system is not going to stand up and do what's right, foreign countries will have to do that. See, really what it is America is going down the path of Mad Max. We're going down the path of vigilantes. We're going down the path of, of government that basically tells you to their face, your face, racist memes. And we're going down a path of where you had a mass shooting in El Paso and none of the folks in the hospital even wanted to meet Trump. I think that's one of those milestones that we can't forget. That's a big one. That you had a mass shooting and no one even wants to meet with the president? And these are the victims of the mass shooting? Wow. It's like 8 people. None of them wanted to meet with your crack ass. Wow. That's something. And you're not going to see it in the Western news. You're not going to hear about that. And Trump, he lied and bullshit. They were talking about the White House. He was very nice to them. All this bullshit. I don't want to hear that crap. They don't trust you. They don't value you, and they don't respect you. I don't see why they should. Your rhetoric led to folks being murdered. Don't forget that. Well, don't forget that his rhetoric led to that. But, him going out to shaking some hands is not going to fix that. And that's amazing that with all of this, with the climate change stuff in Puerto Rico, where he's throwing paper towels at people, it's just, everything about Trump is just fake. And these crackers that, like, you go on InfoWars, other sites, they'll like lie. You could tell like they're desperately clinging to Trump. Even though they're showing you with these tax cuts and stuff, they didn't help the common people. They didn't help anybody but the rich corporatists. And I'm beginning to understand that the people Alex Jones was talking about, InfoWars talking about all these big corporations, they're the enemy. If you want to talk about New World Order, it's the corporations that are the enemy. They're the biggest enemy as far as the people are concerned. All the foods and crap. And when InfoWars, when they talk about Alex Jones, when they talk about the corporations, always like Trump should do this, Trump should do that. And I'm like, why would he do this or that? You can tell like even they're starting to catch it that Trump's rhetoric is going off the rails. You can see that even, and I find it funny, man. I do. I mean, It's funny in a kind of sad manner, because it's funny in that now you're starting to realize it, even though I realize that that's really bad. It is, because Alex Jones, they put it all in for Trump. They put all in for him. They put it all in for him. I said that I've done videos on that in the past. How I used to really follow InfoWars and respect him. Now that's done now. He burnt too many bridges. And what getting by Alex Jones and Trump is that the stuff they do, it is so racist and it is so balkanizing. And I always think to myself that they could have gotten more, and they don't have to even take it as far as they take it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even like the lies Trump is told and things like that. Like you don't gotta even do that. You could have, you could have. And there's been presidents in the past that have done things, and they were racist too, but they didn't come out and talk about Mexicans being rapists. They didn't do this stuff. It's like if white supremacy was a college. Let's say white supremacy was a college course. Trump, he missed a semester. Yeah, you had presidents that might have missed a couple of classes. Trump missed a couple of semesters in his learning. You know what I mean? He went straight to telling Iraq, "Give us your oil." And the dude talking about Mr. President, you can't say that because that's what criminals say. He ain't last too long after that. All this stuff that Trump said that was blatantly racist and just blatantly disrespectful. He didn't have to say these things to get respect, to get the things he wanted done. So that's God. I see that as God. I see that as really God, that God's going to expose people, no matter how bad. I look at Alex Jones, I look at Trump, and the things he said, they really show how weak the white man is, because they're willing to go along with people who they're not leaders for their movement, but they're so desperate that they'll cling to them anyway. And I'm referring to how growing up around Southerners, a lot of them would not have gone for Trump. A lot of the Southerners I knew growing up would not have gone for Trump, would not have gone for his bullshit at all. They would not have went for that bullshit. A lot of them. And to see this stuff going on, it shows you how desperate they are. They're the real cucks. to borrow one of their sayings. Peace out.